The page starts with Obi-Wan Kenobi seeing trouble in the city and walking away from it as to not draw attention. Here we now see Obi-Wan atop a cliff overlooking Luke's home owned by his uncle and aunt, keeping watch on the prodigal son to make sure he remains alive. The comic then brilliantly explains how his days were filled with mundane inactivity and bird watching, essentially, voicing why he didn't visit the boy sooner. The page explains how Luke's uncle forbade Obi-Wan from training the boy. Owen's reasons were that Obi-Wan trained Luke's father, and look what had happened to him. He was gone, and so were all the Jedi. This was a fate and future that he didn't want Luke to have. Then, if we forward to issue 15, Owen actually seeks out and knocks on Obi-Wan's door, telling him to stay away from Luke, claiming that he's protecting Luke from the Jedi Master himself, from being trained as a Jedi. Obi-Wan then tells Owen how Luke has great potential just like his father, when Owen shuts him down and blames Anakin's death on him, blaming him for the murder of enough Jedi in his life, telling Kenobi to stay away, and that was that. Now, to segue a little bit into my opinions, I don't know about you all, but I think Obi-Wan should have harnessed a little bit of Mace Windu in this scene and kicked Owen right in the face. I think it's so wrong that he controlled Luke the way he did, without giving him the choice to train to become a Jedi Knight, keeping him sedentary as a local moisture farmer, following in his uncle's footsteps rather than his father's, which inevitably is why Luke rebelled. Now here's some backstory to Obi-Wan during his time on Tatooine. Regardless of waiting out until Luke either ran away from home or the rebellion needed him, as we saw in Rogue One near the end, Obi-Wan, while staying in the shadows, did protect Luke from being killed or sold as a slave to the Hutts. We see now back in issue 7 that some thugs from Jabba were sent to collect a water tax from everyone when they noticed the Lars family hadn't paid theirs, threatening to make them pay for their crimes. Obi-Wan showed up and used a Jedi mind trick on the henchmen, sending them on their way. He also protected Luke late at night once when the same bandits crossed paths with the young boy, knocking him out, but not until Obi-Wan showed up to destroy them and their attack droids, only to safely deliver young Skywalker back to his home without being noticed. The comic ends with Obi-Wan igniting his lightsaber, having now reinstated his courage and Jedi mindset, igniting the fire of hope to one day train a Skywalker once again. What do you guys think about Obi-Wan's decision to obey Owen's wishes? I would have imagined he would just do as he thought was right, instead of being so polite and respectful of Luke's uncle. I bet the timeline would have played out much differently if this were the case. What do you think would happen?